Welcome to our first Seidman Alumni Social for the year. My name is Phil. I'm president of the Seidman Alumni Association. We have a lot of board members. Board members, could you put your hands up? They are your formal hosts, so if you have any questions or whatever, see one of them. And we'd like to particularly thank our board members, Scott Setlock and Mercantile Bank, for helping us with this and making this possible. We would also like to thank Leaves Whitney and everything you've done to make this possible. And my job is to get out of the way. Leaves, that's all yours.
Thanks. Well, thank you very much. I tell you, my job is to get out of the way too, so I'm going to keep this really short, this introduction, so that you can hear these two gentlemen. I am really proud, all the things I'm proud of, can be proud of, since I've been in Grand Rapids. Tops on my list is to be associated with Ralph Hauenstein and J.C. Huizenga. Both of them serve on the executive board of the Hauenstein Center. Just been remarkably generous, wonderful people with whom to work. If you look at these two individuals and look at the parallels in their lives, look at how successful they became early on in their careers as business people, look at their commitment to education, whether it's the National Heritage Academies, 70 some odd schools now in over 9 states. It'd be the 18th largest city in Michigan if you were to collect all the people associated with the National Heritage Academies. And then you look at Ralph and all of his commitment to higher education, whether it's the Hauenstein Center for Presidential Studies or the numerous libraries that he has funded around this state. So this commitment to education and then the philanthropy. These are two great philanthropic leaders. And you know, I queried some students today, knowing that I would be here this evening. I said, tell me some words that you think of when you're with Ralph Hauenstein and J.C. Huizenga. And the words I heard were consistent. They are accessible. They're friendly. They're optimistic. They're hopeful. They are unpretentious. And of course, we know that Ralph has a very special title, Cool Cat. So I am really proud to be associated with these two, and I want to thank also Bill Smith and Bonnie and Dean Williams and all the folks associated with Seidman, Mercantile Bank, of course, everybody who made this happen. We have lots and lots of hours of tape of Ralph with his wartime experience, and when Mark Kubik came to talk about this idea of having Ralph and JC together to talk about the entrepreneurial experience, we pounced on it. So with that, please join me in welcoming Ralph Hauenstein and J.C. Huizenga.
Okay, are you on?
I don't know.
I don't think. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I think we need to have Ralph on, particularly. I'm going to ask you for two things. One is, Ralph is fighting a respiratory infection, so his voice isn't as strong as it normally is. So I'm going to ask you to listen closely, but Ralph, I'm going to ask you to sit up a little straighter and be focused on because we all want to hear what you have to say. Now, in response to Cleves, in this season of debate, it reminds me of the vice presidential debate some time ago between Dan Quayle and who was it, Senator Benson?
Floyd Benson.
Yeah. Floyd looked at Dan and said, I know John Kennedy. I know John Kennedy. You're no John Kennedy. I am no Ralph Hauenstein. Let me make that very clear. But I'm pleased to be with you. And Ralph, we're going to have some fun today.
Good.
Now, Ralph, as probably you all might know, is one of my favorite heroes. And not only is he a war hero, but he's also a hero in business. And at the age of 28 in 1940, he was called up from his post as a city editor to serve in the U.S. military. And Ralph, would you talk maybe just briefly, we're going to focus on your business experience, but let's frame where you were in context with the war so that we can put it all into context.
Great. I was a reserve officer since 1935, and in 1940 I got a call from Washington that I better report for duty. The war was coming on, preparations were being made, and they were very short of officers, of course. So I had to give up my job as a city editor, Grand Rapids Herald, and report to Fort Sheridan. At Fort Sheridan, I found that the commanding officer there was in bad need of somebody for publicity, and he said, "You're my man." So he made me a publicity officer, but ironically, in those days, publicity and intelligence were in the same division in the War Department. So I reported in, and the poor guy that was the intelligence officer had been an FBI man, but I outranked him. And if you know the military, that means I'm in the G2 officer of intelligence, and he's propaganda. You know? So anyway, I said, "You stay with your intelligence, I'll do the public relations." Well, it worked out very well for a while till Washington, under secret order, sent messages to all of the intelligence officers by name and nothing else as an officer to Washington to get more training in intelligence. So the poor intelligence officer had to stay there, and I had to go get myself indoctrinated as an intelligence officer. It was very enlightening and very interesting, but that is the reason I got into intelligence and why I was intelligence from that day on.
So you were sent to Iceland.
I was sent from there. The commanding officer of it's always bothered me a bit because Roosevelt was elected to keep us out of war, but we got messages in early 41 to form a combat force of 1,600 men to go to Iceland to serve with the British, who are now in Iceland in the war zone. And the commanding general of that was an old-time general, a very capable guy. But anyway, he chose me to go up there also as part of intelligence, part of public relations.
And you were trained by the British.
And then while there, the British trained me very deeply into intelligence work. And I might add that the British probably are the best in the world in intelligence because they've been playing it for centuries. They know all about it. They had spies all over the world. And of course, we had crazy people all over the world.
Now, if you clicked on Ralph's bio, you saw this picture here. I don't know if you can see that picture from here, but did you know Ian Fleming, who was a British military intelligence officer?
I knew.
You had met him. Ian Fleming, of course, wrote the James Bond series, and you look amazingly more handsome than James Bond. So, 4 years later, you were a full bird colonel.
Yes, I was a colonel in 1944 at the age of 32 on the staff.
You became, when we went to war, you became Eisenhower's chief intelligence attaché.
Of his certain branch, the American branch of intelligence, yes.
That's a pretty important position. So you had access to a lot of secrets. In fact, you were so important to the U.S. military that for a period of time you were confined to London. They didn't want to risk you being captured. Is that true?
That was during the invasion, of course. There was a limit as to when we could go over in the front. I think it was 6 or 7 days before I could go over for fear of being captured, because if I were captured, I'd know too much. And of course, you skipped a lot of things in between now.
And we'll have a chance to go back and fill in if you want to dwell on Ralph's military career. We can go back and we'll have a question and answer time whenever Cleves deems that appropriate. But during your time in Europe, you were successful. You came back. One of the people who was reporting to you was David Rockefeller. Is that?
No, David Rockefeller. I used him sometimes in Europe because he was with the captain of the American embassy, and David was a translator. He knew several languages, very capable man, and sometimes I used him as interpreter for requirements, you know, and that way I got to know him. Yes.
And David was sometime after he came back, he became president of Chase Manhattan Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a story about when you came back. How you got into business? The war was just over?
The war was over, of course. In 46, I decided I was going to take my discharge if I could get out. The Army didn't want to let me go, but I wanted to get out. I'd been overseas for 4 years, and it's a pretty tough job. So I decided I was going to go into some other business. I loved the newspaper business. I've been a reporter and a writer, and I love the newspaper business. But in case if you don't know it, they don't pay any money. And I looked at the situation very carefully and made a study of it, and found out that I know that Europe was devastated. It had nothing in neither parts of the Orient, Philippines, and so forth. There was so much devastation, and we were the bastion of supply. Our country was, and to me, it was perfectly logical that we had to supply the world with very, very much of all of their needs. So I just, with that in mind, I was deputy director of intelligence in Washington. I wrote myself some orders and went up to New York. When I got up there, I found out that you couldn't buy a telephone or an office space or anything. You couldn't get nothing. And I wanted to go into business. You have to. I decided I knew that you had to go to New York to find international work. So I couldn't find any place at all. Nowhere. So I called up my friend David Rockefeller at the time, and I found the city almost empty of apartments. He arranged everything for me to have a nice office and get things started. To that end, I also knew that I didn't know very much about export or import. I knew nothing about it, of course. And I went down to the Department of Commerce in New York and found one of their men who was an expert. And I made a deal with him to come with me. I made a deal with one of my men in intelligence who spoke, I guess, 8 or 9 languages. Language, all right. I got together with a good cadre of people and decided that we would now go in the import-export business. That's the start. Well, how long do you want me to talk for?
Oh no, this is great. Can you all hear Ralph? Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Well, first thing I came up, I had to go to Grand Rapids. Good old Grand Rapids, you know. Well, I came up to Grand Rapids, and people didn't want to look at me, as a matter of fact. They didn't know what export business was. They didn't want to do anything with metric systems or anything else. They were too busy, so I couldn't get anything out of Grand Rapids. But it didn't bother me. I went back up to New York and made some pretty good contacts with the Department of Commerce. And to that end, I started getting very, very good orders on food stuff. And I decided that I would specialize in food areas.
There was a green book that you had to gain access to?
Yeah, I didn't know where to go. So the green book, the green register, it lists all companies in the United States. There were 3 companies making, for instance, I got a request from a Latin American merchant who wanted to buy a new modern bakery in America. Almost all of the world, in our part of Latin America, in America, they had all types of real ovens and so forth, where the new modern still quite long ovens and automatic machine. So they had 3 companies. One of them was from Grand Rapids, we're a machinery company. I'd never heard of it before, but I went to them, and first meeting went very gracious, not successful. They didn't want to be bothered with anything that had to do with things other than America. So this is a story I've told much before, but anyway, I decided that I'd have a 40 company in New Jersey, so I went back out to them, and in the meantime, I had from South America a very important baker who wanted a complete plant, and he gave me the order for it, complete, but I had to fill it out in order, and I couldn't get anybody to fill it. So I told him, I went back out to order and said, well, I decided we want one of your plants over in New Jersey. And to that end, they were very happy to make it. And I took the whole plant, a few boxcars, shipped to New Jersey, New York, made some changes in motors and so forth, and shipped to South America. I was quite happy. And it worked, of course. But it was the beginning of that line of work, of biscuits and crackers and so forth, of that type.
So this was equipment made by the Grand Rapids Company?
Grand Rapids Company, made by Warner Machinery Company, which I might add, I worked for some years with them. Too much, I guess, because I bought the company in a few years. So as things evolved in doing import-export, we worked up quite a line of different items for export to various parts of the world, having quite a good success for it because there was such a big demand. The problem was a lot of these countries and companies didn't have any money, and I made it just at that time the Marshall Plan came in, and they helped by making monies available to us, and we had so many work on. I was really very naive in the business of import-export. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have that kind of money. We're talking $100,000, $250,000 for little plants, you know. And I finally began to learn that you get site drafts or letters of credit and all kinds of stuff that play with, do a lot of things. Make the difference between the letter of credit and site drafts with your profit in it, you know. And it worked out very well. I made a lot of money that way. Then I got through these acquaintances, I got acquainted with, for instance, the largest manufacturer of pasta machinery in the world, out of Italy. He was known as Mr. Pasta in Italy at the time. And,
so now you were importing?
Now I started importing his machinery, I suppose. I don't know. But at least at one time, at least half the companies in this country, we put machinery on for new pasta. Italy was well advanced in machinery. America was really slow. They had no modern machinery for the pasta. And the Italians had done a wonderful job. So we were able to really bring in pasta machinery from Italy, which helped a lot.
That's not bad market share. So half the companies in the United States that made pasta were using your equipment.
Yeah, eventually it's really worked out. You can over machinery.
Gee whiz.
They had to. They probably had to do it.
So, and by doing that, by the age of 42, you were a millionaire.
Yeah.
Back when $1 million really was $1 million. In an age.
I had so much of it turning into business, I didn't know I had that much of it.
And that was an age when it wasn't easy to do business.
No, it was very difficult. Very difficult.
It wasn't easy to do trade because ships weren't available.
No.
You couldn't hop on a plane and go to New York. You had to take a train.
Most of the time I took a train. I lived in Grand Rapids. I wandered back and forth to Grand Rapids. On the old Wolverine, I used to leave Grand Central at 6:15. New York City, I said I'll be in Grand Rapids at 11 o'clock each morning.
Gee whiz. So you'd come home on weekends.
Yeah,
That's commitment to Grand Rapids.
yeah. But eventually, of course, I got better flying. I flew all over the world many times.
Then you also are credited with certain household products like Goldfish, the crackers that we all grew up on.
Yeah. We put that.
Tell us the story about how that came
I
in.
was over in Europe and in Germany actually. I ran across a man, and in his garage he was making a product that looked very much like the goldfish you know now. But I watched him and I see what his secrets were for making that product. I think we could do that. I came back to town and we worked and developed it and we finally got it and then we sold it to a big supplier.
Then you also created Andy's Mints.
Well, we run a candy, of course, in the candy machinery business, making candy. And another thing, the pasta issue. I found that you could take the different dyes from the, if you notice pasta, they can make more dyes than like dyes, you know. With their dyes, they can make all shapes of pasta. And I thought, well, why can't we do that? Make different dyes with this, make cookies or biscuits or snacks out of it. So I developed some of the snack businesses for general foods, making people out of that machinery.
So it sounds like you had the Midas touch.
Well,
When Ian Smith wrote Goldfinger, he probably was thinking about you. So you even took things that people wanted to throw away and found value in them. Like you created the turtle.
well, that was, you know, we were making candy. We were making drop candy for candy with a little caramel in it and so forth. We just plain round candy bar. But as we were extruding it, we couldn't hold it together right. And ironically, it kept up coming out in the shape of a turtle. Got a turtle. That's the way it got me for turtles.
All these little known facts. I bet you didn't know who created the turtle.
Yeah.
So, all in all, how many enterprises have you created?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
At least 4.
Yeah, I have on my own. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have 4.
And
I did business all over the world. I had Sweden making certain machinery for me, and I had the Netherlands making dyes for me. They make beautiful dyes. The Netherlands, they were really wonderful dyes. So,
speaking of the Netherlands, you also created windmill cookies.
well, the cookie, the cookie itself had been patented by the Warners in 1907. The true secret was that making automation. Because up to that time, you probably see around wooden blocks with designs of wooden Santa Clauses and so forth, wooden hang on walls, you know. But I took it from there to make it to a die and to extrude it all, so we made Santa Clauses. One of the cookies.
You were an entrepreneur before there were entrepreneurs.
I couldn't even spell the word.
So, you also had a school.
Yes, but what happened was that when I sold this bakery down in South America, I found that all of the bakeries really in South America were using only equipment made by the British. The British had been down for years in South America, and they had virtually a monopoly on all this production. And the British maintained that you had to have British equipment for the machine to go down, up and down, up and down, up and down, for your biscuits and cookies and so forth. And we couldn't get any place with them, you know. And I tried to explain to them, you don't need all that stuff. So we put a die roll right out to the labor to go. And they wouldn't believe me or anything. So what I did was on Boca Raton, they had 4 buildings up there that I knew about, that had been tanks during the war. They were abandoned, and they were perfect buildings for me because I think they were 75 feet wide and about 400 feet long, something like that. Perfect for a biscuit plant. So I devised a biscuit plant to put up in there as a school, and I offered all the biscuit manufacturers in Latin America around the area. They'd come and we would take care of them for the week or whatever, set them up and teach them how to use our equipment. It worked very well. As a matter of fact, within 2 weeks, I got a big order out of Jamaica for it. And it worked very well.
So you offered the training to get the sale.
Yes, you did, right.
What a great, innovative concept. So, Ralph, with a successful military career and a successful business career, what things do you find in common that create success in the war and success in the military?
I suppose that's a determination to make progress in some way or another. Not be satisfied with the status quo, but go ahead with other things. We'll do opposite more.
You also told me that it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. If you want to get something done.
No, that Roses, I remember one time we had a big order out of Peru for galvanized pipe. It was one export, and it was well written out. It was almost a 3-inch, so many meters in length and so forth. The pipe, a large order of that pipe, and we took the specifications exactly as they were, and got the foundry people up there, and they made it, and we shipped it down there to Peru. And then the morning arrived, of course, and we got a call. They were furious. What's the matter? They said, well, you shipped us pipe with American threads, we use British threads the other way around. Well, because we took out the order and then we did exactly what they wanted. They said nothing about thread. So I mean, the problems along the way too,
So did they use it? You don't care. You got the sale. Tell us about your tenacity as it related to the Normandy invasion. You were looking for landing craft?
Well, we were, when I was in Iceland for about a year and a half, then they sent me down in 1943 to help work on the invasion, overlord for the invasion of Europe. And we were working on it, and the British had drawn up pretty well even before the war how to get there, but they didn't have enough men or anything else, so we had to reorganize the whole plan. And in the reorganization, we found out that was great. Where's all the landing craft? Didn't have enough landing craft for the thing, So we asked the British for it. They said, well, we can't give you landing craft. All of our plants are making boats and ships for down south and so forth. So we decided we had to do something about it because we could not invade till we had the landing craft. So we sent a man, Ralph Ingersoll. He was a major. He used to be an editor of the PM newspaper in New York, and he was a great friend of Roosevelt, great friend of the president. So we sent him over there and said, hey, we're going to need this much landing craft. And boy, did the Navy really howl, because they had landing craft for every island. They had it all worked out exactly how many landing craft they had to have for the various islands they're robbing. So they had no landing craft for us. So it took a real order from politics to get Roosevelt to tell the Navy North way that landing craft was. But it's funny how you can draw great plans for that whole invasion and forget about the landing craft,
How many ships were used in that invasion?
Well, on D-Day we landed 170,000 men, 20,000 vehicles, jeeps, tanks, and so forth, 4,000 landing craft, 1,000 supply ships, service ships to supply on them, and 1,200 military craft, Navy.
Somebody said you could almost walk from ship to ship from
Yeah, you probably could.
from England to
And
Normandy.
Unfortunately, we did lose 10,000 men killed that first day, but considering the great numbers that were there,
And you were in London in one of the command centers?
Yeah, we had the big war room.
That must have been a nervous night.
Well, I suppose it was. Unfortunately, they sent me to London right down there in 1933, and that's when the Germans decided that the second bombing of London should take place, And to be in London during those bombing was not very nice. I didn't like it, but I had to stay there.
Let's talk maybe some business concepts. We've got some great business heroes in Grand Rapids. We're in a hotel that is owned by two of them, Jay Van Andel, Rich DeBus. Fred Meyer was another great hero. You are certainly in the Business Hall of Fame. Why are some successful and some not?
each of them have separate circumstances. I know Fred Meyer very well. Every Monday I used to have lunch with him. And he started out because his father was a barber. As a barber, he thought he could make a little bit of money by putting some fruits and vegetables and canned goods in the barber shop and so on. And from that it started to build up. So Fred, being the son that he was, the old man started him a little grocery store. And from that it developed and ran up into a great thing. But I don't know that Fred had much choice or had the idea that I'm going to be this great guy of $15 billion of sales in this year, I think he had no idea what happened to him. So I think a great much of it in our circumstances. The same thing Meyer said of the man that did horses. They were great guys, do a lot of things together. They tried the airplane stuff, that didn't work, and others didn't work, but they got the franchise for a certain area of candy bar business, the candy bar, health bar, whatever. And they saw that was a great thing, so they could kind of got a bigger hold on it, got more rights to it, and got the people with money to buy the whole rights to it, and start that game a network of individuals outside of Grand Rapids and around the country that are distributors. So they took a lot of other areas and built up from there. And it's just it's circumstance. I don't think it's I think it's initiative. So for their case, it's initiative. For Fred's, it was directive. It is circumstances. You have to even like you have to take some gamble. You're going to get hurt once in a while in this business, any business. You're going to get hurt, and you want to go into business. You better be backed up by something, or stand the consequences of it. So if you are like, go back again. Go out until you win. That's all.
Not being afraid to fail.
That's right. That's it. Don't be afraid. Go after it and keep on going.
Persevere through failure.
That's right. We had many products that we were developing were failures, and many material respect because we couldn't keep on going by it. So have to do it.
Was there a particular failure that you recall that troubled you, that you learned from? Or what was the worst business day of your life?
Worst business day of my life?
Worst business day of your life?
I don't know. It's a many of them. I can't remember. Seriously, I can't. I guess I just don't dwell on it. That's all.
If you had,
it's like the war. I don't dwell on it. The beauty of it.
If you had a do-over, what would it be? If you could do one thing over again, either a successful one or one that you'd like to change, what would it be?
I would look for what I thought that people wanted, what would have a market, and I would go out and make a product by machine or some method for that product that would sell. I did a lot of that. I left a lot behind, as a matter of fact. One of the last things I did, I had a place in Isla Morada, and we used to like go fishing down there. And we made candies, machinery, so everybody liked this key lime down there. So I put a little around while I was down there. We made Milky Ways anyway. Instead of Milky Way, I made a key lime candy bar. It was absolutely delicious. But I'm retired now, so I don't do anything with it.
So there you go. There's for some of you who are looking for opportunity, a key lime candy.
I don't part of it. So much fun.
Do you have a name for that candy bar?
No, I want to fish.
Any lessons that you'd like to share with everyone from business or otherwise?
I said it before, I'm serious about that. If you don't succeed the first time, crack at it again, go after it again, go after it again. But if you find that you don't have the money, you can't get the money, you can't do the product, maybe you can find somebody who will buy it with you, go in with you on the thing. You'll finally decide it's no good at all, I guess. You give it up, but don't give up so easy. It's a big world, and a lot of people out there need a lot of things. For instance, one of the things I made, we had a company that made, they came to us because we were well-known export business. They made a flail mowing machine. not the round type, but a foil go down. It was made because on the airports we're getting a lot of problems. We were throwing stones and going into aircraft, making holes in aircraft. So they developed this machine which you put for airports, and it sold a lot of it. So they came to me and said, "What would we do in Europe?" So I go find out. I went to Europe, and the French and the British took it very for licensing. So, I thought, well, they Switzerland, because Switzerland had big airports. Everybody's letting in Switzerland today. So I wrote to the head guy over in Switzerland that I would be there. I would like to meet him. Well, he had a committee to meet me, and I talked, explained why we had to have it. They must have the same problem, And they all listened. They never did, but they got all through. And I said, "What do you think about it?" And he said, "Mr. Hauenstein, but they don't need it." I said, "Why don't you need it?" He said, "We use sheep." They brought sheep were doing cutting all the lawn. I was like,
that's great. Well, some of you might know that Ralph has a book out. You might find it at Schuler's, and it's called "Intelligence Was My Line: Inside Eisenhower's Other Command." And Ralph, you tell a story about how there were only two people who envisioned the Battle of the Bulge. You were one of them. Tell us that story.
Well, we were watching the war room very carefully. The war room, big things in the war room watching. And I noticed particularly that the Germans had withdrawn quite a few men, a couple, 3 divisions, from an area, leaving it wide open. And it didn't make sense to me why that would happen, And I talked to Dick Bonesteel, Colonel Weston. He was Schaaf's man on liaison with me. And he became 4-star general, brilliant man. And we talked about it. He absolutely agreed. He said that something wrong, because we couldn't get the German, no communications, which is unusual. You always had communications going. There was communications all shut off. And I didn't like it, so I discussed it with the people. I said, let's find out the War Department. Gave me a good excuse to go back home after this. Well, I was there in a short period of time. The War Department felt, as we felt, no invasions could take place. There were no army. And at that time it broke. It broke. So then I came right back. After almost 40 years, I was overseas. And I got 4 days vacation and came back. But
wow.
They didn't agree. Homestill and everything, 2 guys.
You didn't get a medal. You got 4 days of vacation.
And we didn't buy it. We didn't buy it.
Well, good. Are we?
We're starting to worry about
good.
wearing out our welcome here. So, do you have any final questions for?
Well, let's open it up, maybe for a couple of questions from the audience. I see one.
Just a quick question. How important was the Ultra Project and Bletchley Park, and did you have interchange with that information in that project?
Yes, in the military we had that's one reason why I ended up as I did, is because I go back 3 seasons. I had been a city editor of a newspaper, and one thing you do in a newspaper, you get lots of copies, and you make headlines, and you decide whether it's a good story or a bad story, what page to go on, what we still. Well, I got intelligence that way. First thing I knew, I was really pretty good at selecting what was important, what was not important. We had restricted, confidential, secret, no secret, top secret. And up here was ultra. But no one got that. It was just a handful of individuals, virtually. Other people that had it. But very, very few of us had ultra. And that, of course, was a German intercept done by an Enigma machine. And that was the thing that a lot of people credit the war for being. Eisenhower himself said that it was the thing that really made it possible for us to win the war, because we had every knowledge of virtually everything Germany were doing. Only 2 days before the invasion, the Japanese ambassador who was a friend of Hitler, in contact with him. And Hitler was telling him it looks like they're going to invade pretty soon our Pas-de-Calais area, which made us very happy. And he notified his headquarters back in Tokyo. That helped us a lot because we knew we were on the right track. We tried to keep Hitler away from our Pas-de-Calais.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So in two ways, you won that war. One by discovering the the Enigma machine up in Iceland, and the second way, procuring the ships for the landing craft for the Normandy invasion.
Well, I didn't get the order out of Iceland. The only thing I got out of Iceland was coal. Although, kind of an interesting thing, I'll tell you a side story you don't read about it. While we were up there, a German submarine came along and landed a spy. And he came ashore and we captured him, of course. We gave him the name of Cobweb. We created him. Anyway, we gave him a chance to talk to us or be shot. Then he turned for us. But in the meantime, we notified Washington that we had a spy. When it came back that J. Edgar Hoover said all spies will be given to me. He wanted to conduct all spies of the world, J. Edgar Hoover. Well, we knew in wartime, J. Edgar Hoover wasn't the guy, he wasn't our spy, that was for sure. So what I did was, we gave him to the British. From then on, the British got our spies, but put them on.
So you outfoxed J. Edgar Hoover too. You are a hero. Are there any other questions, or should we let Bill wrap up? Bill, go ahead. Wrap us up.
Well, we certainly appreciate JC, you bringing in, and the fireside chat, Ralph, and Mark for helping to make that happen. We have some gifts for you. Where are they? While we're looking for that, JC plugged Ralph's book, but JC has here some random concepts for business success, and so I have multiple copies of that. Is my assistant Jill out here somewhere? Jill, are you out here? Can you come forward? Jill, can you handle distribution of that for anybody that would like those? Okay. Mark's got one for Ralph, and JC, we think you need some more Seidman here, so there's a nice package for you.
All right, well, thank you.
Well, Colonel, on behalf of the Seidman Alumni Association, we'd like to thank you for sharing not only your military success, but your business success and strategies with us. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.